Okay. All right, let's get started, guys. This is the Experience Bar Happy Hour podcast. We start every Sunday at 7 p.m. We're starting a little bit late because this is episode number 1. So I want to thank you all for joining. And why don't we start introducing ourselves? Let's see here. I'm Justin LaForge. We also have Sean Roslin,
Hey, everybody.
Danny White, and Aston Reyes. Are we all off mute? Is this we're still getting the hang of this? So bear
Not
with
Danny,
us.
apparently. There, now I'm on.
Our one. Oh, there we go. All right. We have one viewer, so this is all for you, sir.
Wait, do we have it posted?
Yeah, it's on Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter. I have hit all 3.
Except our website.
Except our website. It'll be an after the fact on the website, though.
Okay, fine.
We'll get that nailed down in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was doing it up to the very last second there. So why don't you go ahead and, I don't know, why don't we talk about what game everyone is currently playing? How about we icebreaker with that?
Sure.
Sean, you want to start?
Okay. I've been playing a lot of The Last of Us. I'm about halfway through that, I would say, based on what people have told me when I tell them where I'm at in the game. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's actually really good. It's hard. It's hard to say because it's such a really complete environment, and the game's really well thought out, and everything's really well polished. I mean, typical Naughty Dog games, but you get a real good sense of atmosphere from the game, and so I'm finding things that take me out of it. That it's like, why are all these bricks around? This is like the things that make it a video game are the things that are starting to take me out of the experience because the rest of it's so good. But it's really intense. So I'm only playing it for an hour or two at a time. So I take a break.
Are there clearly labeled barrels that are explodable?
No, no, there's no red barrels or anything like that. It's just there's certain things that are very gamey. They do a good job.
But the environmental rooms,
it kind of breaks the reality sometimes.
When you go through the rooms and stuff, every house is different, and every house is littered with all sorts of like memorabilia. So that's cool. I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the world and everything around it is so well done and so intricately detailed,
and home front
it just draws you in. That when something is like very, oh, this is a video game, it sort of takes you out of it. It's not bad. I'm nitpicking. Obviously, it's a fantastic game, but it's also really intense. So, like I said, I've only been playing it for a couple hours at a time. So. In the meantime, I've been playing. I needed something a little more cheerful, so I've been playing Diddy Kong Racing. I'm also trying to figure out. I have the ability to record HD video. I'm trying to figure out how it works with these sort of retro consoles, and it was not working when I was trying to record Diddy Kong Racing. So I'm still working on getting that done, so I can do more stuff on the site, like older games. But so basically, those two have been taking up most of my time.
All right, well, let's pass it off to Danny since Aston's off his chair.
Since Aston's preoccupied. Currently, I've been achievement gathering with Limbo. I'm trying to get all the way through it. I think I have all of the puzzles memorized now in one sitting without dying. But yeah, I don't know. I'm in love with that game at the moment. It's dark and morbid and macabre, and it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, I tried the one that's like beat it without in less than a couple
all
hours.
In one sitting, and only dying like 5 times.
Or less. Yeah. So I got to like the spider and died, and I was like, nope, I'm never gonna do this.
Yeah, I currently my Xbox hasn't been turned off for the day because I have work and I can't just sit down playing Limbo all day every day. But yeah, I've only died twice, and I'm 3/4 of the way through, so I think I can make it.
Nice. I just got it for my Vita.
Ooh,
True
nice.
fact. And yeah.
Does it have any sort of touch controls on the Vita, or is it just?
No, it's just straight up
Like,
the game.
when the spider comes, you have to do this.
Yeah. You have to shine it to a light.
I was just curious.
You have to hold it up to a light, and then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I first played it at like 2 in the morning, and I swear to God, that spider almost flew me out of my chair. I was not okay with how slow they moved.
Well then.
All right, Austin, how about you? What are you playing right now?
Funny story. Basically, just small games right now, mostly like whatever's on my phone or whatever's on my Surface. So, well, Surface meaning like Windows 8 apps rather than full-blown games, which I can do. But mostly Doodle God for some odd reason, and Fairway Golf. I think that's Fairway Golf Solitaire, I think is the name. It's by Big Fish. But it was free, and then I figured out it was free with DLC, so then I just bought it. But mostly those two for some reason. And then in terms of bigger games, I've been trying to get around to Thomas Was Alone because I recently finished Walking Dead. Basically any game from the Humble Indie Bundle from the past I don't know how many times, because I also have Bastion that I like played halfway through and then stopped. And a bunch of other things too. So there's a whole slurry of things that I need to play. But yeah, that's basically Fairway Golf. It's funny. And solitary, like, so. Yeah.
Nice. I guess I at the moment am just playing. I'm playing the beta for Firefall, so that's what I've been doing my time on, and it is actually pretty awesome. It's a very skill-focused game, and which means that I lose a lot. So it's like super competitive, and I'm trying out all the different frames, and every frame is like grass is greener on the other side kind of thing, where I'm like, oh, it'd be so much better if I had this battle frame because it's so much better, and then I get to it, and I do worse. So I need to be better, I think, is what that equated
That was always
to.
my problem in like games like Call of Duty. Like I just whatever the starting loadout was, whatever that assault rifle was, I would just get really good with that. And then when I tried to switch to like sniper rifles, even though you got people like running around one-shotting, I'd just be terrible with them. I'd just be like, nope, going back to that start assault rifle. So.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the game, and like I'm fairly confident in other things, but the jetpacks and the boosting and all the guns are you have to be super accurate with. So
Now, is Firefall PC exclusive or?
yeah.
But
It
PC
is
as in like Linux and Mac as well, right?
no, it's PC exclusive. I'm playing it
Oh,
on
really?
a different computer.
I thought it was cross compatible.
Not at the moment. I think they had plans to do it.
The beta may not be, but the full game might eventually
Yeah.
be. But they don't have plans to bring it to consoles or anything like that.
No,
Maybe.
maybe.
We'll get that.
By the way, our topic of the day is OUYA, so we will be getting to that briefly. But at this time, let's bring up some of this is the section where we just talk about some of the articles that have been on the site. And so this is our now serving section. Let's see if I can get the images to display. This is the fun stuff of the first podcast.
Right?
This is,
You guys are here for history.
I found it.
In
It's
the
working now.
making.
Wait,
Awesome.
stop. when we talk, the thing changes. So let's just.
No, I can control it.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
So who wants to go over the first? Over the.
Sure. I wrote it, so I guess I will. Basically, I'm just talking about sort of everybody, hates middle of summer, no games coming out, and it happens year after year, and I thought a couple years ago when things started creeping into the spring, and maybe we'd see more summer games, but still really hasn't happened. The summer's still really always dead. I mean, you'll see spring games, but those are mostly things that have been pushed out of the last fiscal year. So they're not really spring games. They're games that couldn't quite make fall. So, I mean, and then summer. I mean, the past couple of years it was better because it was you get Summer of Arcade on Xbox Live, but since the Xbox, I mean, they've been working on the Xbox One. They haven't been as focused on Summer of Arcade, and it just like if you look at the release schedule for July, there's like Shin Megami Tensei 4, which is an obscure Japanese RPG and a 3DS game. I think is going to be the best-selling game besides NCAA Football 14, which sell because it's a football game. But like, it's sad. There's nothing to play. I mean, which is, I guess, great for people like me who have like a crap ton of games they still need to play through. But for people who are looking for something new, it kind of stinks. And there are a couple companies like Atlas who's publishing Shin Megami Tensei 4, and Rockstar actually in the past was pretty good about putting their games out in summer. The last couple of years they had good summer games, but GTA 5's not till fall this year. So
well, that seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Because like we just had like E3, so you would think that maybe some games would like to have that big press boom and maybe be like, hey, this is our game, and you can play it in a month. So,
yeah.
Well, I think that would be more the case if we weren't just gearing up for another generation Switch.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of that is coming up and to try and ride that high as opposed to the E3 high, which is typically what I would assume they would try and do. But because of the generation Switch, we're just going to be seeing a lull.
And I think just a general rule, they just try to aim for Christmas time anyways, because they figure that's when the most sales are going to happen. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, statistically that makes sense. Normally the most sales happen, but the problem you run into is then you're competing with games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. So, while ostensibly you could make more sales that time of year, you're also competing against games for people's dollars. So, I mean, it runs into a problem of, do I buy this $60 game or do I buy this $60 game? And if one of them's Call of Duty and the other one is like Heavy Rain or something like that, a smaller or like an indie title, those ones are going to get left out.
And we also run into the issue of only the average consumer only buys one, maybe two $60 games a year, so they're going to buy it in the holiday season anyway. And it's Call of Duty.
Right, but ideally what you would like if you were a smaller game franchise, which does happen, is you would try and release in the fall, so then by the holiday season you can go on sale and pick up more of the market that way. And the people that are price sensitive, that's also been a very typical business move for their models.
Yeah, it's just kind of disheartening because you get to the middle of summer and there's like nothing to play. And I think actually some of that's not to say that The Last of Us is a bad game and it wouldn't be selling well otherwise, but I think part of that is the lack of anything else to play. There's nothing out. Tons of people are talking about The Last of Us because it's such a good game, and they're saying to their friends who maybe haven't played their PS3 in a while or just don't know about the game, like, hey, I just played this game, it's incredible, you got to go check it out. So from what I understand, it's selling really well. So.
Well, it's competing also, like the game it's being compared to is BioShock Infinite, and that was such a long time ago if you think about it. Like that's like the closest good game that it competes against.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Game of the Year games this year, just because it's the end of a generation, I guess you're right. In general, things have
that category.
Slowed down to a trickle. The only games that came out this year, really, I think, that are in the running are like Ni no Kuni and BioShock Infinite and Last of Us, and then probably GTA 5. And that's it. Like the next gen games look good. Like Killzone Shadowfall looks awesome, but I played the other Killzone games. I don't think that's going to be Game of the Year material. I mean, it looks awesome, but as far as narrative goes, I don't think that's going to be a winner.
All right. So, and then we also had a great post. Who here has played Simulator 2013? Of the
Other
people
than
here?
Darren, I don't
Other
think...
than Darren.
I don't think any of us have.
I don't think any of us have.
By the way,
I did watch the really sweet video though that you posted. I think we need a little not safe for work warning on that one.
Yeah, I like sim games. Farming Simulator's a little too out there for me. I played a lot of Sim Tower. I will play Roller Coaster Tycoon all day. You just no. I can't. Combines are not for me. You know.
But the point of the story is that we want to include everybody in this community here
No,
at
I understand.
Experience Bar. So
I'm not saying it's a bad game.
There's a lot of farmers that go to
interests me. It's like Microsoft Flight Simulator. Like, I understand that it's a really good game. I just don't care about flying Learjets at all.
But realistically, the ideal of the flight simulator is to crash it, because that's really funny in a really bizarre, awful,
that's really easy. Just give me the keyboard for like 5 seconds. That's inevitably what's going to happen.
Really, I only did that because landing the plane was so hard. As a 10-year-old.
My grandpa had an early version of Flight Simulator on his computer, and I used to play it. And inevitably, I would get he'd be like, "Okay, now you have to control the yaw," and I'd be like, "Okay," blow up. So it did not end well ever.
I remember I played that when I was really little, and I'm like, "Where's the autopilot button to land it?" Yeah.
I thought for the longest time that the cruise control was an autopilot, so I'm glad that I figured it out before I drove.
So you need one of these to make a flight simulator work. I'm just saying. And even other games whatchamacallit was Tom Clancy's Hawks. Now Tom Clancy's Hawks was an okay game. It's a better game with this. It actually makes sense with this. I felt like I was in Tom Clancy.
Well, I play inverted, so everything's like a flight sim to me. So.
Because I have even all the thrusters and whatnot too. So. Yeah, but other than that, it literally collects dust. I don't know if you can see it, but...
We just lost our one viewer when I said I play inverted.
That's not okay. You need to train.
I can play regular.
I am expecting a Rocky montage of you training to be default.
No,
and then at the end of the montage, you have to drink the eggs.
I have to act...
Yeah.
Oh. I have to actively think about it, so...
You have to drink
pixelated eggs. Just do a quick
eggs.
cut to Sean just throwing up after eating the eggs.
In slow motion, like 300 style.
That's how we all learned default, by the way.
Well, the first console shooter I ever played was Time Splitters, and their default is inverted, so... Because they're all British.
You know what's funny? What ride was it at Disneyland? The Astro Orbiter. I remember being a little kid, and then the controls are inverted, right? So I remember I was like, "Why aren't we going up? Why are we just sitting in a circle on the ground?" And then whoever I was with, I forget who was with me, but she kept on trying to put it up, and I was like, "No, I'm putting it up. We're still on the ground." But yeah, that's my story about inverted versus not, and now I know the difference.
Now we know.
When flying a plane, it's inverted.
Should we move on to the next segment?
Yes,
I guess so. I mean, we've covered about all there is in farming sims.
And then we went to flight sims.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about farming sims.
I think that's a vast minority of people, but we wanted to let you know that as obscure your game is, you're welcome in this community and on this site.
Care.
Whether you like Call of Duty or Farming
lot.
Simulator. Yeah, and then just wanted to give a quick shout out that I hope everybody had a 4th of July that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it.
The very fact you say you don't want to talk about it means I want you to talk about it.
Yeah. We lost,
nothing really that exciting happened.
We lost our second viewer because we didn't want to talk about it.
Is that going to be a running joke? We lost another viewer, you guys.
No, we did. We seriously did. I was watching the number.
We should probably not mention. We're going to go back to this.
Yeah, this is the first one.
I just made us lose 50% of our viewers.
Yeah. Yep.
You're gonna be that guy.
And all of them. We're.
Just keep going. Next segment.
No, my 4th of July was fine. I trust you guys. This was fine too.
We clearly need to polish this show up. And on that note, I think we should transition.
Thank you, one viewer, for sticking with us.
I think we should transition to our topic of the day, our bar fight, if you will,
Sure.
and that is on the OUYA today. So our basic talk will be on, who's going to buy an OUYA and do we see its future lasting?
No.
No.
Straight up no.
Not that I don't see it lasting, just no, I'm not going to buy one. I should put it out there. So.
You have another year to get the new one, so.
Yeah, I think that's the major problem. Who's going to buy something if you have to update it every year?
No,
it's only $99, but I don't know. I don't want to keep updating the same console every year.
There's other things I'd rather spend $99 on, like
cocaine. No, I'm just kidding.
A quarter of a PS4, an Xbox One. No, but I agree with you. The problem is the ever-changing hardware. It makes sense, but as long as it's going to be like that, it's going to continue just to play host to ports of mobile games and emulators. And I think the emulating thing is cool, but I have all those original consoles, so it's not really, to me, I'd rather pull out the original console and do that. If I was into emulators, I wouldn't have those consoles to begin with. I would have just gotten rid of them, and then the OUYA would be very cool to me. But where I'm sitting, it just at $99 to play phone games on my TV is not, it's not speaking to me.
That's why I think it's really funny because I'm the one that brought up the topic of OUYA. I personally think that
that's why I take credit, Aston. I'm sorry.
But basically, there's a lot of hate for the OUYA, and for me as a person, naturally, I defend the underdog. So, even though I personally don't really care to buy one or to get one or to do whatever with one, I think that what they're trying to do is really impressive and or not inspirational. What's the word? It's very
innovative,
admirable, or something like
they're
that.
They're trying to make money.
No, I don't think they're trying.
I understand what you're saying. There are some interesting parts about the OUYA, and I'm not saying it's a bad console for everybody. I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, and I think that's the funny thing about the whole situation, though. It's like everyone that you talk to, including Darren. Darren is a huge advocate against OUYA, which is pretty funny. But the thing is that there's a lot of interesting things that they're trying to do. They're trying to make it more like everyone says, I don't care about mobile games on my TV with Android and whatnot. But if you remove yourself from that, there is still a lot of potential. If you look at Android instead of a mobile operating system as an operating system, which it is, there's a lot of potential for games to be developed on it that are really impressive. Perfect case in point is any game that's made with Unreal Engine on there. It is pretty cool to be able to play, even just, what's that game that uses Unreal? Dungeon Defenders alone on the TV. That's impressive, For something that's $99, that's not a bad deal for someone that, I don't know, maybe Joe Schmo, dad buying their kid a cheap game console that won't know the difference between an Xbox and an OUYA. So, who knows?
I think I'm going to kind of deviate on who their target audience would be.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure it would be that. If anything, I would assume it would be the hobbyists, because since it is an open system, if you're just a hobbyist developer or whatever, that's who's going to buy it. And they're going to buy it because they can root it, and then they can hack into it and have their own system up on that so they can develop. Realistically, that's who they're looking at. I feel.
That's who their Kickstarter was aimed at, and it makes sense that they got funded. There's plenty of people who are out there who are like, I love this thing. It's a improved version of my Boxy Box. I can get rid of that. I can have all these emulators on it, and I can have one thing under my TV next to my regular Xbox. It's tiny, right? But the problem is, those are all the people who kickstarted it. So who are they going to sell it to now that all those people already have their version with the shitty controller faceplate that makes your buttons get stuck?
I'm going to interject here real quick that if you have any thoughts on our topic of the day as it goes on, you can tweet at the XP bar or at Twitter. So the EXP bar. Just saying, in case you want to join in this conversation, I will put you in, and I will also find other conversations on the OUYA. Continue.
Excellent.
So
this is very polished.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, just coming from a standpoint of like, can this sell? I think it can to Joe Schmo Dad, or something like that. But it is definitely aimed for the hobbyist, and I think there is something to be said about that because it does give like. Say, like one of the coolest things of being a nerdy kid and with your nerdy friends, like back in high school and middle school, is the idea that you could, create something and become big, right? Like that was always a thing with me and my friends, like trying to come up with I remember developing a game or trying to develop a game. But never in anyone's middle school life are they going to be able to try and become a developer for like the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live Arcade, like they won't have the capital to pay for the development fees, they won't know what to do. Whereas, you can do that with the OUYA. Like you have that possibility. Like if I was, 12 right now and I saw the OUYA, I would be all over it. Like if I wanted to be a game developer. Because it would give me a perfect platform to start playing with things and start doing things. Not necessarily making money and making it big, but like experiencing the development process, how to make things, what to do in terms of design, and et cetera, et cetera. So. But
here's the thing, Aston. I mean, you can do the same. You can have the same argument for mobile. I mean, it's an Android operating system. Kids got a phone. They can develop for that already. And as we know, every 12-year-old has a smartphone now. So. I understand where you're coming from, and like I said, it's a really cool idea. I don't know who it's for that they haven't already sold an OUYA to.
You know what I think it's perfect for, actually, by the way? Sorry, Danny.
No, go for it.
I think it would be perfect in Walmart and Sam's Club, considering that, because before this, Danny, when I was talking to just Justin and Sean, I was telling them about how I went to Sam's Club to see a TV that wasn't even on display. But going through there, they actually have a $40 Sega Genesis and Atari 2600, like clones, basically, that play through like an emulated chip and stuff like that. And it's small, it has wireless controllers, but you can play the original carts, which was pretty interesting. I'm probably going to do an article about that with the pictures that I have. But, like, for the parent that doesn't know any better, like, buying the OUYA would be kind of cool to do, like, just the random console that's there, like, the thing
Actually,
that...
let me tell you a story. The kid who gets the OUYA instead of the Xbox is going to be pissed.
True.
I don't know.
I got a PlayStation. The PlayStation was a better console than the Nintendo 64, but I was livid at my dad. I wanted one so bad.
And it's funny because now you're dedicated to PlayStation.
It has CDs. It doesn't have. It only has 2 controller ports. You have to use memory cards. Like, it doesn't have Mario. What are you doing? Of course, it ended up
I don't
being
know.
awesome
I could
system,
see
but
my
at the
grandmother.
time, I could have cared less.
I could see my grandmother getting me an OUYA and putting in a stocking and being like, "Here you go, this is for you," like as like one of those like big gift things, and thinking that it would be the best thing in the world.
OUYA in my stocking, is that wrong?
Yeah, that's exciting. I
think
think it's
you have a backup phone. You're excited for anything that has a USB port.
No, it depends on which USB port.
Going back on topic before we get on to backup phones and USB ports. I think I really like the fact that it's an Android OS. I think that's really awesome. I think it should have been released. It should have been released a year later with Google Glass. Because I think if you have Google Glass with the developers for that and connect it to the OUYA, I think it would be a much more of a niche market that you could then capitalize on and kind of do a faux VR, virtual reality on it. That's what I would have liked to see happen, but, you know, that could just be my own imagination.
Google Glass is a whole nother topic within itself. I don't know if you can...
Yeah, but I mean, you can't talk about the Android OS right now and not at least give a shout-out to it, because that's where everything's going to be headed to, realistically.
Well, that also brings up one of the questions that, like, a lot of the articles or a lot of websites are talking about right now, is the idea that Google could possibly be entering the game console market because of things like the OUYA and the Boxy Box and like other things that use Android. They're talking about, you know, potentially changing their Nexus Q, which is just basically a box that does no one knows what it does, and making it a game console. Which that brings up the question: if they do that, what does that mean for OUYA? Or would they use OUYA to be their game developer, or not game developer, but game console developer? Like, would a world where Google has its name on its game console be something that's successful because of Android and because of the way it works?
You know, I think the OUYA would be forced out. I don't think Google would outsource that to that particular company at all. I mean, Google likes its strategic partnerships. And
but what happens if they do
something
hardware? Like, if they do something like a Nexus, where they have their Nexus series, which has a bunch of different hardware developers, but it has the Google name. You know, you have the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. You have
right, but I mean, but the OUYA is already having problems keeping up with their own demand, let alone having to keep up with the demand that a Google name would have on it. I mean, already half of, like most Kickstarter projects, like half of the people that originally backed it aren't getting it, even though they're already sold out on shelves in various different actual physical stores. So if they can't keep up with their demand now, how can they even project to keep up with the Google demand?
Yeah, I think Google would have to invest their own resources to keep OUYA going, at which point it goes, so why are we using this company if our name is bigger than theirs? You know, we're helping build their product, and they're taking a kind of, it doesn't make financial sense for them to do that. I agree with Danny. I think that OUYA would be the one to get pushed out.
That is a good one.
Going back to what you said about Glass earlier, one of the advantages the OUYA does have is that there's a new one every year. So even if this version doesn't support Google Glass, the next one could, or the following could. I'm sure some enterprising individual will come along with it, because it is Android. You can sideload anything into that console. Somebody will come along and figure out how to do that. It's like there's always a guy who comes along, and then you're playing Mario Kart 64 on your original Xbox. Like it just it doesn't. People will tinker with things. This will happen. So, you know, sooner rather than later, every single one of the devices we just mentioned in the last hour will have porn on it. It's just going to happen. So there is always a way.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just afraid that they've already run their opening gimmick buzz out already, and people who have initially bought in might not buy for another couple of years after they've already lost the Google Glass initiative thing. Does that make sense? Because most people aren't going to rebuy a console every year just to get the next
Well,
version.
I think the whole rebuying a console every year, that argument, I feel, is really unfair. Because, you know, it does come from a hybrid situation, right? It comes from the idea of smartphones and using smartphone hardware to make a game console. And
You have to buy a smartphone every year, though.
yeah, no, but to lean on what I'm saying is that every year there is a new generation. I mean, you'll get a smartphone that is outdated within 6 months. And the only reason why they're making a new console every year is because of those hardware differences. And I don't think it's fair to say a new console every year. Because I think what they're trying to do is have a new hardware, better hardware, you know, like iPhone 4S and like, you know, Xbox Slim.
Okay, well, let's be honest. Okay, let's look at this from the business standpoint. The reason why they're doing that is because they're only taking 30% of their cut. So in order to stay a profitable business, they have to re-release something every year and have people buy it. That's how they're going to pay their salaries. So it has nothing to do with the fact, oh, we want to keep our hardware up to date. It has to do with, oh, we're going to keep it cheap and make people buy it every year and do okay hardware because it's going to get outdated.
But Danny,
that's the business for it.
Wouldn't some portion of their business plan incorporate software sales? I'm sure they do. I don't know how their OUYA store works. I don't know.
They're doing 30% of the cuts for the software. So
It's
like when people
really-
develop it, they're taking 30% off the top.
Okay.
All the games
That's what
have
I've read.
a trial.
I don't know. I don't know if they have any other software sales they're doing in-house and they're doing that. But I heard that from everything that they're selling from the developers that are putting that stuff on there. They're taking 30% of the sales.
Okay, so assuming you sell 1 million OUYAs and you sell 500,000 copies of a game, at $3 a pop, and they take 30%, that's $1. That's $500,000 right there. I mean, I don't know what their projections are, but at some point they're going to have saturated the market with OUYAs. I mean, this is something Apple's running into with, like, the iPhone 5 didn't sell amazingly because people have an iPhone 4. They have a 4S. Like, I've got a 4S. I didn't run out and
Everyone's
grab
gonna
a
wait for the
5
5S anyways.
because
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that their whole market's going to crash because, like, do you know what I mean? I'm agreeing with you. As Justin pets his phone.
no, but yeah, okay. So you're agreeing
Don't
with me,
listen to
but
him.
what I'm saying is I see. I guess I was right. No, they're not going to survive in the long run. But
I don't think so. I think their best option, realistically, is since Google's talking about making their own console, their best option right now is to get integrated into Google and then become part of a subset.
Mhm.
And just
I
completely
guess.
lose the OUYA franchise. I really think that would be their best option.
Yeah, they could do something like buy out OUYA and then be OUYA.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense to have a horizontal integration and have OUYA merge into part of their own development team.
Because, I mean, they basically did that with Motorola. Now, Motorola, a Google company, like, even though they still have all the other, like...
yeah, but that's the weird thing about Motorola is they own Motorola, but they're still making Nexus devices. I mean, they're working with other partners to make Nexus devices. So I don't know. OUYA would have to make themselves really attractive to Google to have Google buy them, and I can see Google having the same conversation we're having and going, 4 years down the line, if we pay, $50 million for OUYA, what do we get out of that at the end of,
Now, let me throw another chink into the chain, by the way. What about the rumors about Samsung entering the game console market, very similar to how OUYA entered the game console market with using...
Well, then we'll have to worry about updates every 3 months with the Samsung Galaxy Box Mini and the Samsung Galaxy Box Active.
This Galaxy Box plays motion games.
You can put it underwater.
This one is gigantic. It has a 7-inch screen.
Waterproof.
This one has a 10-inch screen.
Oh, no.
This one has a camera. You don't need the camera.
I don't know. Samsung's they make a good product. I'm not gonna lie. They this is off topic, but I'd be interested. After the OUYA came out, you saw these things like GameStick and honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is GameStick. But there's sort of
I think that's the only other major one.
Not necessarily copycats, but like sort of Android-based gaming consoles or things like that. How people are only going to buy one of these things, right? I mean, how many of those can you like? Even if Samsung is developing a gaming console, how can it be anything more than a Me Too product?
But Samsung's always Me Too.
No, I know, but like this whole, it runs into the problem Danny said. You're going to hit saturation in this market really, really fast. And the only thing that's going to keep people buying more systems is, A, content that's unique and creative and makes people want to buy the system, and content that can only be released on future hardware.
And price point. I mean, because they'll offer price points at less than Microsoft and PlayStation.
I'm going to offer a counterpoint and say, how many people do you think bought the SpongeBob gaming system that attaches straight to your TV? I think that OUYA could hit that market.
That's what I'm saying with the whole, like, this needs to be in Walmart. This needs to be on the side in Walmart. Say, like, look at the advanced gaming system that's only $99. And reel in the people that are just like $99 for a game console. Okay, my kid's gonna love this. They're not even gonna know the difference.
But what happens when you get a year or so in, and the PS3 is $299, or sorry, the PS4 is $299, and the PS3 you can get it for $99, or even they'll probably keep it at 99 because that's what the PS2's at. But at a certain point, current gen consoles are going to become cheap enough that they're direct competitors to the OUYA. They're that cheap. Go into Walmart, buy this console.
You can
kind of
walk
thing,
into
like a PS2 is now, or it was a couple years ago.
You can walk into GameStop and walk out with a $40 GameCube and be totally happy. So I mean,
that's a lot.
It's funny that the PlayStation is still more expensive than the Xbox and the GameCube. The PlayStation 2, even though it was first, I always find that funny.
Well, it's because of the game library. More people.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Yeah.
It's just kind of sad, but you can always have that argument. It's the same thing about going back to phones. It's the same thing like, oh, Apple sells their iPhone 4 for $99. Why would I buy Joe Schmo Samsung phone that is a Galaxy S3 Mini, which has the hardware of the Galaxy S2?
But the smartphone is seeing that saturation problem.
Yeah.
There's a reason why smartphones are growing in the BRIC countries, because they have bigger BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China, for people that don't know random acronyms.
I don't speak financial analyst.
Hey now.
I got you.
Neither do I.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why they're going into the emerging markets, and that's why Africa is on a lot of smartphone radiuses, because it hasn't been saturated. And realistically, in the next 2 to 3 years, I mean, the North American, and to a larger extent the Asian content, and Europe is going to be really saturated, and it's going to be hard to be able to roll out as fast a turnover as they want.
All right, so wrapping it all back up, do you want to buy a OUYA?
I guess we'll just go around and say our thoughts. No, I don't want to buy an OUYA. I think it's going to run into problems a couple of years down the road. I don't think it'll be a long-term success. But I think the people who do buy it will be happy with it for a year or so as a small day version. Right.
Going to me, I guess.
Yes.
No, I don't want to buy the OUYA, but I would be interested in buying something with the Google name that possibly had the OUYA dev team developed into it, because they do have some interesting perspectives that I think will be kind of fun to follow.
Awesome.
All right. And I will get the game stick. No, I'm kidding. But I think the OUYA is perfect for being the little side project, the little side thing. That being said, maybe the new OUYA comes out, the old OUYA is $50. I'll drop maybe $50 because that's the cost of a game console anyways, And the fact that it has Android is cool. The fact that you can hack it to bits is cool. It's already a better Apple TV than Apple TV is. I'm sorry, because you can probably hack Xbox Media Center onto it, which basically.
Oh, you don't even have to hack it. They've got a build already running.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
so you can just download it from the store. It's already. I
think you have to side load it on, but it's totally functional. It's in beta right now.
Yeah, so it's like that alone within itself is kind of a cool aspect of it. Is the idea that it's just it's a cool little box that you can play with. At least for me, it's probably not going to be a heavy hitter game console. It's probably not going to be the thing for gamers, but it's a cool little project. It's a cool little thing that I would love to play around with. Maybe not right now because I don't really care that much, but it's still something that would be kind of cool to have, kind of cool to play with.
So you would treat it like a collector's item?
Yes, just like my kin.
Oh.
So, from the gamer, we have a no because it doesn't interest him, but he thinks that it will be good for the person that that likes it.
Yeah.
From the business person, we have a no. We don't think it'll be done or it'll be successful enough. And from the techie, he wants to get in and mess with it because it's a new play toy. I'm going to say that I would love to develop for the OUYA and not have one.
And so from the developer's standpoint, I want to develop for it, but not quite sure I want to own it as a person.
I don't want to use it because I have a phone if I want to play phone games, and I have a console if I want to play console games. And
so as the developer, let me ask you a question. Who are you developing for if you don't even want to buy your own game?
Well, I'm saying because in my case I'm making a mobile game and it could work and on both the Vita, the OUYA, all these underrated systems, and it could do really great.
I own a Vita. I don't own an OUYA, so.
So by do really great, you mean just run, right? Not necessarily make sales.
Get one extra
Let's just clear
viewer.
that one up.
One extra viewer would make me super happy. So that is my take. I guess that is our topic of the day.
We still at one, Justin?
What?
We still at one viewer?
Yes, we are. Going strong.
Thank you for sticking with us, if you're the same guy.
If not, thank you for coming in at all. So it's going to do it for our show tonight. Thanks for tuning in to the Experience Bar's Happy Hour podcast. Remember, you can catch us every Sunday at 7 p.m., and we will be doing it live. And you can also catch us on our YouTube when we get that posted up. You can stop by the site, www.theexperiencebar.com, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I manage all of the social media, so send it to me.
Instagram, Vine.
You know, I'm not opposed to it. It's just extra work. So you can also follow us each individually. I'm on Twitter as @JustinLaforge. Aston is at Aston Reyes. Sean is at @SRoslin.
SROSLON.
And Danny doesn't have a Twitter.
Danny does not have a Twitter because she doesn't want to talk to you.
Are we really ending it? We have 10 minutes.
Okay, I don't want to get a Twitter because if I die, I don't want them to have a step-by-step moment of everywhere I've been for the foreseeable past.
So Danny is.
It's creepy.
Well, guess what? The NSA
Danny, that Twitter and Facebook have an app that allow you to it analyzes your posts.
Furthermore, I hate the hashtags. I know they're useful. I know you can see what's trending and blah blah blah. I hate hashtags. People use it in vernacular in everyday speech, and it bothers me. Anyway,
I always when I tweet stuff, I tweet something and I write it out and I'm like, oh god, I guess I should include hashtags on this. Let me make one up for what's relevant to this.
Hashtags are only useful if you're talking about a conversation with other people. If you're just throwing them in there, there's no point to it. That's all I'm going to say.
I thought you were supposed to
but there is before I get caught, there is a app that tracks what you post, and then when you die, posts for you in the way that you would.
No, absolutely not. I am not going to be shot by my friends because they all think I'm a zombie that can magically tweet. They will rip me up and burn my bones.
You can die and your Facebook profile will be like, I'm so sad I'm dead, but I still love video games as much as I always do.
Oh my god. Follow
Aren't you glad you stuck around, one guy who's still watching?
Yep. So on that lovely note, we're going to end today's podcast. Thanks for stopping by, and check out the site.